Hello and welcome to another episode of Test to Speak, and I'm your host Brijesh Dev. Today with me, I have somebody who comes with vast experience and a lot of knowledge. Somebody who is vocal, somebody who likes to talk his mind, and somebody who gives you a detailed explanation of anything that is sought from him. A bundle of knowledge, according to me, and a bundle of joy to talk to or to discuss things. I welcome my guest Srinivas Kantipudi. Welcome, Srinivas.
Hey, Brijesh. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm very, very glad. Glad to
It,
be
it,
part of your show.
it is indeed an honor and a pleasure for me to host you. And uh, I must apologize to you for the delayed start. And to my audience, we are recording it, at least I am recording at a very um, odd hour. So,
Isn't it 5 a.m. for you?
yeah,
Yeah,
5
I
a.m.
can.
5 a.m. usually. So I have had recordings at 1 a.m. I've had recordings at
Uh,
4:30, 4 a.m. as well. Yeah, at times. So because you know the world is such a nice place to live, and we have so many time zones to manage. So
but I can never do at 4 a.m. I'm not a morning person. So good that you have chosen 9 a.m. for me.
oh, I should have done the other way around, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, so I gave a sneak peek of you in to the audience. Now, why don't you tell us a little more about you, your journey, and how things fell in place, and what are your plans going forward?
Okay. Um, yeah. It's been a long journey, very, very eventful journey. I was happy with where I started, where I am now, what I did, whatever. There are many regrets, many things that if I had to go back, there are many things I want to correct. But overall, I think I'm happy. So where I started when I came out of college, it's 1997. You might know that time, 96, 97 is all like Y2K mainframes. Everyone that comes out of college is like, oh, I want to do mainframes, write that 100-line COBOL programming. Same, okay. Um, and then move to US. That's how it is. That's the exact things that happen. uh, I kind of resisted. I said, like, okay, everyone is going to mainframes. Can I do something different? That's when I started like learning C++, Java. I started teaching in my early career. There are a lot of institutes at that time slightly catching up. Java and all are catching up. And I did small apps. And then like everyone during that time frame, I moved to US. Like most of my college, everyone there, my seniors, myself, everyone goes to US. That's the final destination. In India, there are only 3, 4 companies, Infosys, TCS. They come like once in 6 months to Hyderabad, stay in a hotel, conduct interviews. You have to go into their office, give your resume to the security guard there. That's how the process is when I came out of college. Limited opportunities, limited I if you're not from a very, very reputed organization, the opportunities are limited if you don't have the campus thing. So I started as a Java developer initially. That's in Nationwide, Columbus. There for like 1.5 year. Like what I'm doing, but then I got an opportunity to move to Bay Area, California. I liked it. I never, and then they said like, okay, this is the position that we have. It's in a company called Helion, which was acquired by WebMD at that time. So they said, this is the position that we have. Are you willing to? So I said, okay, I'll try. This is like a testing thing. Little bit of testing, little bit of automation. They have their own homegrown tool, just driver or something. Um, I liked it. When I started it, I thought it's like a 6 months thing and then move to development again. But when I started, I liked it. I liked what I'm doing. I like the importance that I'm getting. I was like good at it, whatever I am doing. I said like, okay, why not continue? And then I never looked back. Last 18 years, 18 years. I tried many different roles. I tried Scrum Master, Product Owner, RT. It's always comes back. The testing pulls me back again. Okay, this is what you are. I like to try out new things. I believe that it's like uh, you have to constantly keep learning. It's not like a government job. If you want to stop learning, you have to move on. You have to move on to a different domain, uh, different organization, different domain kind of thing. So that's what I keep doing. Um and last 6 months, it gave me a lot of good opportunity to uh, step back, think of what we are doing, and see what I can do more. And your things, it helped a lot. Your groups, your messages. Initially, I was like, okay, let me watch what these guys are doing. I was not like participating in anything. And then one day you had a big lecture, like, come on, guys, you have to share. There was a big lecture, and I was I'm kind of a guy who have like I draw a schedule, I follow that schedule kind of thing, and said, okay, morning 20 minutes, I read news and all things. Why can't I just go through the blogs and this, all the charts? And that's when I started participating. If you see my history, initially I was like very calm there and not talking. And that's what I regret the most in my thing career. Last 12 years, I was like following a lot of guys, James, Pradeep, Ajay, you last few years. I was following them, but never contributed. I was like, okay, my work, my thing, my job, my company. Company was always priority to me. But I learned from you all, like you can do a lot of things. Just that 4 hours on a weekend, 3 hours, whatever you can. So last 6 months, at least I'm spending 5, 6 hours on weekend reading things, watching your videos, watching the Netflix things, all all things, and that give me a lot of knowledge. Nothing is small. Nothing is small. You can like share like anything. That's when I started sharing and a lot of learning also from the group. A lot of learning, a lot of amazing guys in Europe actually. Appreciation. Thanks for that.
Well, that is
Yeah.
indeed very humbling to hear that from you, Srinivas, because I have been following your body of work for a while. You know, it's mutual, like you said that you've been following what I'm doing, and I've been and the kind of things that you've been speaking about, the kind of things that you've been writing about. I obviously wanted that, you know, that knowledge should come out, and I'm glad that somehow in the last few months, uh, you know, we've got you somehow to, you know, think about it and jump in and speak your mind, and it's such a huge advantage for us to have somebody like you in the group talking about things, sharing your knowledge, sharing your perspective, and give us something to think about. Because, you know, as a part of the entire learning process, it may not be something that comes to us immediately. If somebody says something, sometimes we might just be dismissive. But once that message is repeated over a period of time, we start thinking about it and saying, okay, probably it makes sense. You know, what Srinivas is saying, probably it makes sense. And at least some of us have gone back to the basics, okay, have looked into material, have tried to understand, have tried to make sense out of what you've been saying, and we've found it to be really, really helpful. Okay, so the feeling is absolutely mutual, Srinivas. I am glad that you decided to jump in. So, you know,
Uh,
it is incredible.
uh,
Now, going back to what you said for the start of your career, well, yeah, I also started in a similar time frame. My career, I also started as a content developer to a developer to a tester. So that transition has been there, and then I also never looked back. And you said something really interesting, that
so
everybody in your college going to US was the dream. Well, I think it's a dream even now. A lot of people have that dream. Are you still there, Srinivas? Or did I lose you?
Okay.
Uh, I am back. Uh, well, Zoom suddenly decided to freeze
Just hang
and
up.
exit. Okay, the process somehow killed itself. I don't know what happened. Well, so
Uh,
so you could see that technology works in its own way. And
right.
those are brain.
And and we have adapted to it amazingly. We know how it works. We have adapted. We know, which is good. Uh,
Well, yeah, Srinivas. So what I was saying is, in trying to do what we did over the years, uh, I have seen technology evolve. I have seen testing evolve. So, what has been your experience with regards to that?
um, yeah. So initially, like when I joined, I mean, when I came out of college, nobody talked about testing at that time. It was
Yeah.
very, very, very little. And when we talked about it, there is like equal importance to testing, functional testing or doing little bit of automation. There are not a lot of tools at that time. I know about a tool called Silk and then Windrunner came in. Those are the only tools that we have at that time. So I did a lot with Windrunner and learned it to see how it is. Um, but like slowly it picked up. It picked up very, very, very fast. When it started, it picked up fast. Uh, During the dot-com bubble in US and all that time, it really picked up, and we used to thoroughly enjoy. There is a lot of exploratory kind of testing. The word exploratory is not there at that time. So we used a word called random or something else,
Ad
but
hoc.
we used ad hoc, random. But that a nice word came in exploratory. We used to do a lot. We used to enjoy that. We used to like connecting those dots, spending time, and it was no so not so I won't say hectic, but all that waterfall will helped us in like little bit of time to explore things, do it the right way. Even now we are doing it, but the transformation. Um, I feel like we are missing some parts of it during this transformation. Agile has a lot of advantages, a lot of good things there. All the team concept, I like it. The Scrum team concept, the concept of one team. But it's going to an extreme now where some companies come up and say, "Oh, we don't need anyone. It's like only developers who does everything." It's an extreme. It boomerangs. I think it's a cycle. Maybe it will come back. It might boomerang. It uh, so that's what we should be little cautious about. We should not be leaving our fundamentals there. That's what is happening. And you guys are like doing amazing that like talking about fundamentals all the time. I even miss that sometimes. I go into different things. And that's the beauty of the group also that I want to talk about. There are different people who brings in a lot of different perspectives. We argue a lot, but that's like the beauty of the group. There are automation experts, there are domain experts like Naveen, like Ajay, like you, and the way you say it's testing and testing with code, nothing called manual testing. Some that's like amazing the way you stand up and fight for those things. We need that. We need all these people. Everyone is important. It sometimes we get carried away. Even me, most of the times. But at least a balance with the new technologies, automation process. That's where I do most of the things. But the fundamentals are important. That should be everyone should understand that. That's major shift happening, and it's confusing to everyone. What is happening? What is my thing next? Some people come and say testing will go away. Some people come and say there is no manual testing. Like 12 years back, I went to some Microsoft or something, and same thing, testing will go away in 2 years. That's what someone said there. So just have to be a little careful. Just uh, understand the fundamentals always. If you don't know, you cannot survive. You are not a good automation expert if you don't know the fundamentals of testing, how to test, how to break the system, where to look at, how to connect the dots. All these are very, very important. Uh, there is no courses also, maybe very little that teaches this kind of things. Maybe people don't know that you guys are like good job in letting people know that okay, this is there. Everything is important. That's what should be there. Don't carry away by the current trends, or trends will change in any business, not just any business change.
Yeah, quite interestingly, you've touched upon some very important points, some things that even I like to talk about, and you know, sticking to the fundamentals is something that I am a huge proponent of. I keep saying people that I keep telling people that you've got to not get rid of the basics at any point of time. If you get rid of the basics, then it is a disaster that you are heading towards. Because what will keep you afloat when things go away? Technology changes very fast. And today you have one set of tools, tomorrow you will have a newer set of tools, and but what is not changing are the basics. And if you don't pay attention to that, and after some time if you say, forget about it, I'm done with it, that's going to put you in trouble, because it's going to be the basics which will help you keep afloat. Okay, so I did a talk yesterday about about automation, and why does automation fail. Now, in that talk, I spoke about test automation and what test automation is. Now, I have a feeling that most of the time when people start talking about test automation, the premise is restricted to conversion of existing test cases into code. Okay, and the premise is restricted to regression testing. So what is your thought on that? What is automation according to you? What do you think?
Yeah, so that's what you said is absolutely right. Everyone thinks that I have to write this test cases and I have to automate this, and that's done. And I'll say like it's 100% automated. Everything is, uh, which is not true. I mean, now tools are very important. I always say like if a tool can help you, don't do it. Don't do it manually. But there are some things that tools can't help. Like security testing, not everyone is an expert. Use tools. There are amazing tools, Veracode, OWSP, AppScan. Use them to do it. If you need like penetration testing experts, there are experts. There are experts in the market. Not everyone can do that. But you need a dynamic scan of your code. Use those tools. And then automation, we have automation. Whatever, if you are repeating your stuff, not just about your test case. If you are repeating something more than, have you think 3 times in your release or in a 6-month span, automate that part. It doesn't have to be Selenium, or it doesn't have to be. There are so many tools available now. They are like amazing tools, and it's like it doesn't take more than a day to learn them. Also, not so complicated as like C or C++. It's much easier. The scripting tool, I believe strongly. I learned it in the initial things. I learned it from some amazing people. That second time if they do, they stop it, and then they automate that part somehow. That's how it should be. It can be a small piece of thing. Automate that and use it. It will help you. And then spend your time on the other things. That's how it should be. But because of the sprints and then the schedules and then the burn downs and all, think, okay, I have a test case. I have to automate this and I have to run it. That's the flow happening, and I'm sure it will miss a lot of things, or it will help. It will it will affect your productivity in long run if you keep doing only that and all. Uh, you should use tools to your advantage. There are many tools apart from Selenium or JMeter or JUnit or API, REST Assured, and other. There are many tools. Scripting is a there's good scripting tools that you should use.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that perspective. You said something very important, that if there is something that needs to be repeated more than 3 times, try and automate it. Make your life easy. That's exactly what I try and tell people, that if there is any aspect which you feel is repeating over a period of time, over and over again, try and see if you can let the machine do that part so that you can focus on something else.
Right.
And that could be something as simple as generating your test data. It doesn't always have to be converting your test case per se. And I mean, for example, if you are, say, working on an insurance project where you need to generate thousands of
Exactly.
records, what do? You can't sit and create data by yourself manually. You have
Yeah.
to let the machine do that kind of a job, right? So that's automation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, I was listening to one of the talks in Testflix. I think it was Soumya Mukherjee, our good friend. So he spoke about automation, and he said something really interesting. He said in Excel, if you use a formula to calculate 2 plus 2, that is automation.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So it is
Yes.
something as simple as that, and people miss that point. So likewise, I think with the progress in technology, you know, we are overlooking some very simple aspects, right?
I
So
I
I
completely
want to
agree.
know your perspective on that. I mean, are we losing touch? What are we overlooking when we are trying to make progress?
I yeah completely agree with you, Brijesh. It's like it, as I said, it's that cycle where now everything is automation, automation, automation. That's the cycle now. Because of like you fight some of us like some of you fight on the titles. I feel like some things are small, but you take that small things and you really fight on them. All of many of you like fancy titles. Maybe if I know Selenium, I'll get estate, or maybe if I know something else, rest assured. So they only focus on that and they get carried away with that. They don't look back. I always keep saying the two things that I say: just step back once in a while, once in a month, and understand what you're doing. What am I trying to do here? Is there something I can improve apart from directly taking a test case and automate? That will help them in bringing up, okay, maybe I can automate this with Excel. Maybe I can use Python to do something. Small tools. I recently tried many tools like Ansible. So powerful, right? 2 lines and it can do wonders for you. It gives you everything. Right? Has modules can give you everything. Try use them to the advantage. Uh, that will that will definitely help. That will improve your productivity. You can see that also if you start. But we just are in a running phase, running mode kind of thing. We don't stop and look back. Just think for a second. And it's always like I give another analogy kind of thing. Like are always looking from a straw kind of thing. You can only see a small piece. Just look broader. You can find so many things around. That just think for a while, 5 minutes a day. What am I doing? And that will, I think, most of the thing. And they will. Each one of us will get the ideas. We don't have to learn or like it definitely helps, but they will understand what they have to do. And then there are many leaders there that can help. Like once they understand, like I'll give you the small example also. I used to think, oh, what is there in MindApp? There are so many sessions, but it's a powerful tool, wonderful tool if you use it properly. I started using it heavily after I saw all this like IJ, Rahul. They all use it amazingly, perfectly for like so many different things. So I tried that, and every tool is wonderful. Just try them out. There are hundreds of tools, hundreds of plugins for every tool.
Right. Yes, and it is very important to realize the power that is there, and then to use it responsibly. You know, you're absolutely right that a lot of times people tend to sort of get carried away with these fancy titles and jargons that are floating around, and they're like, okay, I've got to one level now. Now let me go to the next level, and they prepare for that. And
True.
somehow, in the quest for that glory, you lose sight of what has actually been the very fundamental or the very root of your existence, and then comes
Right.
the point where you are struggling. Okay, and this has happened to a lot of us people with a little more than 15 years of experience when agile wave and the DevOps wave started hitting. And then all of a sudden, there was a group of people who found them in a different spot.
Right.
Oh, there is no future,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So what is your take on that? I mean, how could people avoid that kind of a situation?
Um, yeah, it's Agile changed a lot of things in a good way, and there are some people who took it in a wrong way and feel like Agile means like everyone should do everything, which is true. But there is some expertise part of it that's always will be there. So that should be we should be very careful about that. We should be very if you like I'll go back to the fundamentals part. If you don't know fundamentals, you cannot do, no one can do. Like a 5-year-old developer, 5-year experienced developer, if asked to start testing, he will give an input 5, and if it expects an 8 or something, he will do that. But if I know the concept of what is adaptability, what is accessibility, if I know the frameworks, I think about that. That that you cannot think if you don't know them. Like I say to people, what you know is what you know. That's all. You think you have done your part, but when you think of some of this, what is like all the software, if you take any quality framework, a lot of wonderful things, details in there. If you don't know them, you won't even think of them. Like, uh, for example, when I have to hire, I see the fundamentals of if I have a Java product, I, I want that person to have fundamental knowledge of Java operating system. Without that, they cannot test properly. If they don't know the JMX parameters, how to tune the Java, how it garbage collection works, they might go and test in a wrong way. They cannot think that. So that fundamentals are important. Each role, there are specialists who knows that fundamentals. That should be. We should not leave them. Uh, Team, everyone should do everything, which is okay. But that should be like maybe 50% everyone should do everything. There are expertise areas in each thing, in testing, in development, in documentation, in DevOps, everywhere. Uh, that should be very clearly thought of when you are like doing it in your company, when you're going and say like I want to hire like a generalist for everything. Uh, Generalists are they might work, and there is a long way for India also because of the cultural things and other things. Yesterday there was a discussion on did any of the developers done by automation. I didn't get a chance to reply to that. It's hard shift. No one like it takes time. So similarly, testing fundamentals. No one will go that deep. They touch the surface and say we are good. We have tested it. We don't need testers. So that doesn't work.
Well, you reminded me of the chat that I had with my good friend Matthew Middleton in one of the Tester Speak episodes, and he so much emphasized on the generalist versus specialist kind of thing. He laid a lot of emphasis and he said that, the world is looking for generalists. Okay, somebody who can do everything, somebody who can do 10 sort of things. And they keep saying, oh, quality is everybody's responsibility, so everybody should test.
Uh,
So do you think testing
it-
is a generalist job?
I don't agree to that at all. That's what surface you can do anything. I can code in C, I can code in Java, but I don't say myself as like a hardcore developer. I can never be. Uh, I can write a code. Give me I'm absolutely good at logic. Any logic you give me, I'll write it. But can I code everything? Can I implement all the design principles while I'm doing it? How many of them can do? Similarly, as I can touch the surface of the other things, but it's not like I'm a generalist. I can do little of them, but not. I have my expertise in one area. There I can be amazing. No one can beat me or kind of thing. We need those kind of people. Similarly in development, there are amazing people. You can go, let them do that job. Don't say like, okay, the testing. They do it. They're okay. Not everyone. I shouldn't generalize again. Not everyone, but most of them touch the surface and said, yeah, we tested it. It all looked good, and we know next day the bill breaks. We know how it happens. All the things. Um, so generalist is any industry, not just IT. You cannot say like in a manufacturing industry, I'll have a generalist who will do everything from fitting a screw to the engine, specialized in engine parts. It doesn't work. It, there is a limit to that. That should be clear. If not, it will come back to them. You don't have to do anything. It will come back to them. They will realize, but when they're hard hit.
Well, I think you're absolutely right on that one. That people get away by saying quality is everybody's responsibility, so everybody should do testing, and we don't need specialist testers. And I was having this. I wrote a post on LinkedIn, and to that, one of the responses was that, look at Facebook. They are not hiring any testers. Okay, and they have a fully automated CI/CD pipeline. Okay, and they do a release every six seconds or 6 minutes or something like that. And I was like, wow, how amazing! Please tell me how this automated CI/CD pipeline is going to fix the notifications on
Right.
Facebook.
Right. Amazon says it does in 5 seconds. You don't know the internals. You it all looks good when they say, and everyone blindly follows them. They have their, I don't say tactics, they have their ways of doing that intelligent part of it, which only humans, they definitely have that. They might not be speaking out, they might be doing in a different way. And they have an amazing continuous delivery pipelines that we have to agree. They're amazing pipelines that they can deliver any time, but they have other means of doing these things, other means of doing the testing or exploratory testing and other things that might not speak, but that's there in every company. Every company.
No, what again? You spoke about scratching the surface a bit, and people also know about this on the surface. On the surface, it is absolutely
Exactly.
true that they have a robust CI/CD pipeline and things like that. But how many people? And of course, microservices architecture that helps them. So if one part of the application goes down, it can still be fixed in quick time, and because you're deploying quickly, before the user realizes, things are kind of
Yes, sir.
fixed, and that happens. A lot of
Right.
what they call as cowboy coding also happens, which is like in production, fixes are made and quickly deployed and things like that.
Right.
So while all of that is happening, a lot of people do not know that they follow a canary release kind of a mechanism where any
Exactly.
fix or any new change is first given to 2%. Sorry, first it is tested by their by their own employees, by their own staff.
Exactly.
Look at this change. This has come about. Test it, and once it is done, it is deployed to 2% of production. And once there
Right.
is feedback from there, then it is deployed to 100% production. So
Yeah,
it is
that's a lot of exploratory good testing. You're absolutely.
exactly. So it
Yeah.
is happening under the hood. And while the world on the surface will see, oh wow, a robust CI/CD pipeline, wow, it works for them. Probably it will work for us too. And if you are working in the healthcare industry, suddenly a patient dies and all hell breaks loose. It worked for Facebook. Why didn't it work for me?
Right. They cannot do canary testing there.
You cannot.
I'll do it for 2% of the
Okay,
patients.
so for the COVID vaccination, okay, I'll try it on 2% of the population, and if they survive, then I will give it to the rest of 100%
Yeah.
population.
Hope they won't follow that model.
See, so people have to be very practical in thinking that okay,
Right.
they are in content business. They have to give nothing but content to people,
Right.
and they earn their revenue out of advertising. Okay, so look at that aspect.
Right.
Whereas if you are in, I spoke about the medical industry. Let's forget medical industry. If you are in fintech, okay, where you're dealing with prices of shares
Yeah.
and things like that. Imagine a glitch happening and somebody missing on a zero.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll be rich.
somebody missing on a zero. Okay, some algorithm skips a zero in the end. What happens? So many millions, billions of dollars lost in
Gone.
a few
Yeah.
seconds. Right, so there are a
Absolutely.
number of examples, and you spoke about Amazon. I think I should have the screenshot. I'll probably share it with you, where I was looking for a soft drink, and you know what is the first choice it popped up? Bonvita.
Okay.
So I just typed soft drink on in the search thing, and Bonvita popped up. And Bonvita, for the audience who don't know, is a chocolate supplement which can be had with milk, and usually it's had with hot milk, not with cold milk. Like it's not a cold coffee shake or something like that. Well, of course you can do that also. You can make cold Bonvita and have it also. That's a very nice flavor. I've tried it. So you can do that. But this is what happens. Okay, so what is effectively happening is that the problems of the users is not getting solved, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about these examples
Yes,
from the automation world, but I am
you're
something.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Piyush. People sometimes blindly follow because they are the leaders. It's everywhere. If we usually follow to our leaders, but you need to think of it, how they are doing, what is our use case versus their use case. Like your perfect example, medical fintech. Take your use case. If you are doing something similar to Facebook, maybe you can do that canary testing or whatever, release it and let people test it, and you can claim that I am 100% continuous delivery guy. Uh,
Yeah,
you should look into details. There are a lot of things in the details. The devil is in the details. That's what we say, right? So that we miss them.
yeah. No, that brings me, and I should probably highlight it through this talk. Our good friend Abhijit Waikar, he has a portfolio on GitHub, and there he has something very very interesting called How They Test, and he has
Sorry.
examples and anecdotes from all these companies showcasing how they test, and it is a very good source of learning for all of us. So thank you for bringing me to that subject so that I can share this with the audience. And if you are looking for it, Abhijit was there in one of the episodes before. I've spoken to it. I will probably put a link in the description of this particular video to his talk, where people can go in and find all the resources and the link to his talk. So all these things help us as testers. So
Saw that Brijesh Abhijit thing. I don't know how he did it, but hundreds of them
yeah,
in
no,
one
he's
like
adding on to it
amazing.
on a regular basis. So
Yeah,
when he reads something from somewhere, he adds it, and this is helping the entire testing community.
right.
You know, and I'm so glad that I'm connected to people like you, to people like him, who are always willing to share knowledge. Now, sharing knowledge that's something, you know, a lot of us think that okay, I have learned, I should probably keep it like that so that I can progress. Well,
Yeah,
I understand that everybody wants to make progress in their lives. Everybody wants that six-figure, seven-figure salary. Everybody wants that CXO designation in the end. I know everybody is on in that rat race,
yeah,
but in order to get there, the world will be totally different if you take people along with you.
I agree.
Because
Right.
because if I tomorrow if I become a CEO and I have nobody with me or around me,
Exactly.
what do I do as a CEO? Nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. I regret that part. Thanks to all of you. Now I'm at least doing. It's never too late. I believe that also. You should share your things. You should take along. That's very, very true. Very, very true.
No,
And
the turnaround that you've been speaking about in your thought process, I think you know a lot of people should emulate from what you have done and take inspiration from what you have done. And I want to bring attention to people of the people to a chat discussion that we were having on the value of metrics. Okay, that is still pending. I have it very fresh in my memory, and the reason why I speak is because we were talking and I poked, and then that brought out your best, and I then again I challenged you, and then you again came up with a lot of information. And okay, I admit today in public on camera
oh,
that some of it was intentional poking so that I get the information out. Okay. However, I'm still up for a debate on that subject. Okay, a lot of things I see can change. A lot of things I see are again, you know, depending on the context, because a lot of times companies choose metrics and they say, oh no, we've got to look at numbers, and then they get lost in the ocean of numbers, not knowing how to do it or not knowing what metrics to choose, which are the right ones for them, and so on and so forth. Of course. So I want to bring you into that discussion. Okay. So how do you see metrics being used in the industry today, and what's your take on that one?
yeah. So yeah, I like that debate. I know you have you question the right way, so which is like you are saying poking, but you question the right way. That helps also. Uh, I believe, I still believe, but and we should have that discussion or argument going on. Metrics are very, very, very important. Every day when I see the discussion in our chat, I immediately think, yes, these are the kind of metrics. And yesterday also someone said like when a bug is missed, QA is blamed. Uh, these are all the examples. It's like uh, it's not why QA missed it, why process mixed it, missed the bug. That's how it should be. That I believe. And for people to make people understand that you should have that stats because we started on like January and we are still delivering on like March, 1 week before the release. The bug will come at that time only. First 1 month we didn't do anything, we didn't deliver anything, we didn't check in anything to Git. Why are you blaming me when I'm finding something towards the end? The process that is screwed up. It's easy if you put the numbers and say like, John, the check-ins are like 10, February 20, March suddenly it's 100 because March 10th is the release. Obviously, I'll find a bug on March 8th
Correct.
because the check-in started on March 5th. If I put a line graph or some graph, everyone will know. So fix the process. We should uh, fix the process, and that will help in everything. And for that, we need metrics, anything at all. Uh, so it helped me a lot. It helped me, especially like QA. Now it's changing. Maybe at one point, everyone used to blame QA for like anything that's missed. So this is like also at that time, like safety net kind of things. See, these are the stats. So is the QA should be blamed, or is it the process we should fix? That helps. That's why I keep saying metrics. Metrics are important. Anything that comes, I'll just immediately change it to percentage or dollars. Uh, any work that I do, if I say that I'm doing this improvement, I'll immediately go to metrics and say that bill failed for like 6 times in last 6 months. So I'll make it 0. That's an amazing metrics to, no one will say no to me. Give me this time, I will fix this process and I'll make it 0. Without that metrics, if I go and say, I want to put a continuous delivery pipeline, why? Features are important for me. Customers are important for me. Well, because if I do this, I will give you like 20 days back every 6 months, and you can do 2 more features in those 20 days. No one will deny that. I'm doing like 4 or 5 features more if I'm given 20 days today. Uh, that way, metrics will help in a lot of ways. It's, at a high level, they might not understand what we are doing, but if we show the numbers and say, like, I will save you $50,000 in a year, who doesn't want to do it?
Yeah.
You can do 10 more features in a year if you give me 20 days today. So that's the power of metrics. I still believe I can give a session on that. We can discuss more.
That will be absolutely awesome. That will be absolutely awesome. Now I want to ask you something a little more deep with regards to metrics, regarding the choice of metrics. Okay,
Yeah.
So you keep referring to certain, I don't know if frameworks is the right word, but certain standard set of metrics. Let's put it that way. Do you think it is one size fits all kind of a thing?
No, not at all. So I forgot to mention, thanks for bringing this. Before I talk about metrics, I also put like the law, Goodhart's law. That's what I talk first. If you take metrics and say this is like a standard, people will only improve that metric. If you say we should file more bugs, people will only file more bugs. That should never be like a target. Metrics are not a target, and one size doesn't fit all. Like, I'll talk about a small exercise that we are doing today in our company. We want to have a quality framework. Should we take a framework in the market, or should we develop our own? There's a lot of debates happening, and we will discuss on like what our product is, what our working environment is, how our people are, and then define our own thing or take something that fits. It should always be that debate. There is no one size fits all. You cannot say like Facebook is measuring on number of bugs per lines of code. I'll measure on number of bugs per lines of code. It doesn't work that way. When you are new, I did that mistake, stupid mistakes of like you measure on metrics like, oh, how many bugs did we log, how many check-ins happened, how many lines of code. They are pointers. That pointers will help you. They are not absolutes. Take that pointers and see what is missing in the whole thing. That I completely agree with you. It should not be like a hard thing saying that, oh, I have to reach this metric. Every company should follow this metric. Define your thing, what works for you. But, everyone is different. Every company is different.
Yeah, imagine NASA trying to follow the metrics of Facebook.
Yeah. Canary rocket.
So you will find rockets and satellites blasting every few days. So
That's
yeah,
another amazing point. You always bring that amazing point. NASA's metrics might be very, very stringent on some things that they believe.
yes, I mean so one of the key metrics that they have especially with regards to some of the parts when they deal with the parts of a space shuttle, or when they are trying to build, a satellite, they they often look for mean time between failures.
Right.
Okay, mean time between fixes. Okay, and
MTBF. Yeah.
so they sort of look at these parameters. Okay, and that becomes a key area for them, that okay, if we notice failure happening, do we see a pattern? Because that allows them to apply that knowledge in trying to build something which is much more robust, so that the failures are prolonged. They don't see immediate failures, or system getting shut down in the middle of, uh, let's say. So if imagine there is a satellite, or at the space station, if engineers are trying to work on an upgrade, and suddenly if there is a system failure,
Right.
and there is a random abrupt shutdown, what's going to happen? So
Exactly.
we have seen countries put in millions of dollars trying to send astronauts, scientists to the space, who are fixing all these things. You know, they are so far away from us, via remote and things like that. And when all those fixing is happening, and if something goes wrong, imagine the amount of money that is lost. Forget
Yep.
about the money.
Yep.
Imagine that 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 astronaut's flight.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're absolutely on point with regards to metrics. And one size fits all should never be the case. I mean, and that's something that I wanted to hear from you. So
No, no.
it's
There is
that
a
now that brings me to another question on the same lines: agile and metrics
okay.
relationship. Do you think there is a relationship? Do you think there is room for applying metrics in the agile world? If there is, then can there be customization, or what is it? How does it go?
Okay.
And I'm talking. Let me set the context. I'm talking with regards to testing in an agile world.
Okay. Yeah, let me, for your last point, like while you're talking, I was remembering a nice cartoon. You can't have the same test for elephant and a monkey to climb F tree or something. There was a very nice cartoon, right? So you can't have metrics to say if elephant can climb a tree like a monkey. It's like, that's a good cartoon that I remember. Um, Agile and testing, the metrics. So on the metrics, like agile like has like so many measurements in this, like the sprint, 2 week sprints, what we do, what we deliver. There are sprint burn downs, sprint burn ups, velocities, story points, Fibonacci series. There are lot of metrics during agile, and like what your point was, like what is the testing metrics in the agile thing, or what was your
My point was, do these standard set of metrics apply, the testing metrics that we talk about? They still apply in the agile world, or do we need some customization? Because here, here we are more
okay?
talking more from a team perspective. So do we look at the testing metrics specifically, or do we look at it from a higher level?
It's like yeah, there, as you said before also, it's not like same metrics fit. However, like when we took agile also, we don't take agile is like a framework. There is no definite thing. You have to understand what fits, what works for you, and you have to take that pieces. It's not a specific standard set of things. We did when we adopted agile, when we adopted safe, we we took what works for us, and accordingly we are working on it. It's not like because agile says this we have to do it in a specific way. Same thing with the metrics thing. uh, Maybe pre-agile you're doing it in a specific way, but agile has its own way of doing things. Accordingly you should fine tune your metrics. It might not be same metrics, but uh, it's you should fine tune more as a team level. What are we doing? How are we? Where can we improve? What is important? Depending on that, no specific things on the metrics part. If that's
Yeah,
what, yeah.
now I'll tell you why I asked you this question. I saw somewhere in one of the teams that I worked with previously, they were capturing a strange metric according to me. They were saying bugs per sprint. Okay, and now I
Yeah.
mean I may be wrong in my understanding. So in every sprint, the kind of user stories that you take will not be consistent.
Yes.
Okay, it cannot be
Yes.
the same.
Yes.
The complexities will be different. The features that you pick up in every sprint will be different.
Yep.
So accordingly, the bugs, the number of bugs, number one, their severity, their priority, all of them will be different. So
Yes.
how can that be set as something that you are looking for? You know that
Well, that's
I thought,
absolutely.
yeah, I thought that it was a weird sort of a metric, but apparently the management wanted to look at some numbers. So I want to use this as an
Now,
example and to send out a message to the management, especially when they say that okay, we need metrics, we need numbers. I understand why management needs numbers. Okay, I understand what is their idea or intention behind it. But what kind of metrics that we need to look at is something that we need to
now
be
I,
careful about. So,
now I
what is
understood
the
what you're
message that you want
saying.
to give?
I understood now what you are trying to ask or say. I absolutely agree. Now, it's it's a blunder to look at number of bugs filed or number of bugs filed per engineer. Somewhere people do that mistake. That's because they don't look at the bigger picture. That's why I keep going to that Goodhart's law. If you say number of bugs, I can log 100 bugs any point of time in anything. Any application that you use, there are so many things that we can look at. That should never be the measure. Uh, if you want to have a measure that the bugs the bugs log cannot escape that sprint by a number, some percentage or something. You should like fix it in the sense. When you say story complete, it should be a complete, not like you leave like 10 bugs as technical debt and then new story. That can be a good metric. Fine tune it so that your productivity is improved, not like your numbers are improved. You are now saying, I want good numbers, not the good quality or good productivity when you say number of bugs. That will go very bad. That when you are new to doing this, you might not be thinking and come up with all weird kind of things. I completely agree. There is a lot of danger in this metrics if you don't understand. I completely agree. But if you understand and do it right, there are absolute gains in the metrics.
Well, you said number of bugs per engineer. Well, surprisingly, this is the appraisal time, and a lot of companies have this as a KPI for appraisals. Very strangely.
Yeah, that's
What's your thought on that?
that's the worst metrics that anyone can put in. It's 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 bad. It's like yeah, you cannot measure on the bugs or a number of lines of code. Also, if you want me to write, I can write it in like 100 lines, the same in one line. It's exactly same as that. Do you want me to increase the number of lines, or you want the efficient way using all the design principles and all? Uh, exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And through this, I want to give a message to all the managers who are doing appraisals of their teams. Please remove that metric if you have it, okay, to measure somebody's work. I mean, I understand that you want to measure to be able to rate them because then you can say, hey, look at these numbers. This makes him a 5, and because you don't have those numbers, it makes you a 4. or a 3.
Right.
Okay, don't do that, please. That is the weirdest way of comparing people. I mean,
I will. Yeah, we should clear that anytime if it's
yeah.
giving that message anywhere. It's very dangerous if you don't understand and do it. Yes.
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 Since we've been speaking for quite some time, I wanted to do something fun. So I will get into my rapid fire mode, and I
Oh,
have 5 questions for you. The time to think the responses of those questions is 5 seconds. So within 5 seconds, whatever comes to your mind, you have to tell me. Okay.
I can do pass also, right?
Who will you pass it to? Who's sitting next to you? Who's sitting next to you?
No, no.
Okay. Starting with, which life do you enjoy more, Hyderabad or Silicon Valley?
Hyderabad, definitely. I moved knowingly that I made this choice.
Okay. One point that I forgot to mention: if you pick a choice, please provide reason.
Oh, details I can give. I don't know if I can give the details.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can.
Please, please.
Um, I willingly moved. When I go to US, I'm very clear. I'll stay for some time. I never applied. I got a chance to apply for green card and all. I said like I'll stay for a few years. 4.5 years I stayed. I'm happy. I'm like that happy guy. I like, yeah, I'm happy. And one of my previous managers mentioned that okay, we are starting a company, Senjura, here. Can you lead the QA team there? I'm happy. I'll be happy to go back, lead a team there. So I was there from the start of that company towards the end when it was acquired by CA. And then I joined Focus. I never looked back even. Again, I can go back after like 2, 3 years if I don't like, because I have a lot of friends there, a lot of people who can sponsor me. Uh, I'm happy. I'm happy. This is my place.
So, okay, that was good. That I think you've made a very good choice. If I was given such a choice, I'll obviously choose a place in India and I'll come back. Uh, and my choice
There,
in that case would be Mumbai because that's the city that I love the most. Uh,
there
well,
are some things that we miss, but yeah, the
yeah,
positives outweigh the
yes,
negatives.
yes, but circumstances are circumstances. Anyways, so my next question to you is, what's your favorite food?
Um, Anytime non-veg, all my colleagues, everyone know. If I go out, I never choose a veg restaurant. Uh, they hate it for me. I am a foodie guy. People don't believe me when I look at it because I look very thin, 65 kgs, I weigh 65 kgs. They hate my metabolism and so I don't know how it works. I say like I look healthy outside. I don't know what's happening internally, but I'm a foodie guy here.
Well, that's good to know that somebody shares the same idea about
Okay.
food with me. Okay, and I want to share a funny anecdote here. So when I was in the US and when my American friends saw my eating habits, they started calling me a carnivore. So one day we were planning a trip to a zoo. They said, "Well, you don't come with us because the animals will hide."
Yeah, you might eat it. So I tried all the animals, not the snakes and all, but other things like
Oh my God.
crocodiles, ducks, and
Oh God. That's okay. Okay. And in the post-COVID era, what is going to be your immediate holiday destination once everything is okay?
um, lot of places in the thing. Dubai is one thing I didn't go to. Every year I make a trip to one country, at least like or at least one place in India and one place outside. Uh, I've never been to Dubai. That's where I want to go. Europe, my wife votes for Europe, but I have to take out my money and all that. And so some place in Europe, I visited a lot of places in Europe. My wife did, my kids did. That's
So yeah,
yeah.
so bring your wife and your kids to The Hague. It's a beautiful city in Netherlands.
Surely.
Lot of places to see. I mean,
They are amazing cities, Netherlands,
yeah,
Amsterdam, Denmark.
and The Hague, is very popular for the International Court of Justice, but there is a lot more to see in The Hague
Okay,
than the International Court of Justice. Of course, that is one of the big attractions here in the city. It looks beautiful. It is also known as Peace Palace. Not Peace Palace. It is known as it used to be a palace. Yeah,
okay,
and it is now converted into a court, an international court.
cool.
So, and there are a lot of
There.
UN institutions here. Um, Although Amsterdam is the capital city of Netherlands, the parliament is in The Hague, the Dutch
Okay,
parliament.
okay,
The you know the the king lives here, and
okay.
so yeah, it's fun. I
I
mean,
have I have been to Amsterdam, beautiful city.
so you should travel about a few more miles and come to The
Okay,
Hague. Okay.
definitely. I keep telling my wife first we'll cover Asia and then go to Europe and then other. So yeah,
So yeah, it's a great opportunity for you to bring your family here, and
if,
and we could do food explorations together.
ah,
Okay.
I will I will now seriously think about it.
Yeah, and of course, I'll be happy to host you at home. So yeah, please.
Thank you.
Okay, so now that brings me to my next question. Okay, which is your favorite pick? Testing in waterfall mode or testing in agile?
Definitely agile. Waterfall, think it's still too detailed. We go into too detailed. Everyone is like now fast paced. So still pick, if you do it the right way, I think agile is like we can do things better. Uh, I don't know. We 2 years is like now when I look back and say like, oh, we did 2 years, one release in 3 years. It might be I might be bored now if I have to do it in like 2 3 years. Uh, I'll pick agile. I don't know what you think.
Okay, okay. I will ask this after maybe the rapid fire thing is over. Let me ask you the last question because that brought me to a very interesting question in my head. Uh, so my last question for you in this round of rapid fire, which you have been doing really well, is you've mentioned that you go to one destination in India and one destination outside. So, what has been your most forgettable experience in India?
Most forgettable experience. I mean, all trips, like long drives. I love long drives. So when I think of any destination, I say, can I drive? That's first thing I'll say. So I love the whole driving that we did from here to Bangalore to Mysore to Ooty and all. Ooty, we took like a hotel on the top of a hill outside of the city. So I have to be every day. I have to drive that whole hill. But once I go there, I'm with the clouds. That's just next to me. That's like one unforgettable thing. Uh, there are a lot of things. There are beautiful places in India if you have to explore. Andaman is a beautiful place.
Oh, I realize something that I did. I asked forgettable. I should have asked unforgettable. Okay, so my bad.
Oh, you said forgettable.
Yeah. No. That was my mistake. I intended to say unforgettable. So
Okay, okay.
thank you for
So you
correcting
want
me.
to,
No, you are right. You are right. You know,
uh,
lack of sleep. Well, lack of my lack of sleep is is taking over.
I can,
Anyways,
I can, I can also answer.
okay, okay. If you have an answer, well,
Unforgettable thing. So once we went to Goa on like with a travel agent. I didn't like it. I don't like someone telling me get up at 7, do this, get on a bus, and I'll show you these places. From then, any place I go, I plan. No travel agencies, any country, any place I go, I take a car, I get up, I decide where to go. So that Goa thing, I didn't like it. That I'll never repeat. That
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean, I also like doing the same thing. So when you know, if at all we decide to travel or I decide to go somewhere, I'd like to, it's okay if I cover a few places less than
exactly,
what the
exactly.
person has planned for me, but I will enjoy. I would
Yes,
like to spend some time. So
relax.
for example, if I go to some say vineyard or something like that, I like to stick around and
Right.
be with the nature rather
Exactly.
than okay,
Exactly.
taste some wine, move on to the next destination, go there and do something. No, that just puts me off as well. So yeah, okay.
Exactly.
All right, you did quite well in your rapid fire. So thank you for those interesting answers. But one thing that I wanted to ask you is you said well testing in agile. Uh, so how do you think that works when you have something like we spoke about NASA. Okay, so something of that sort of a project, which is a long-term project, which is 4 years, 5 years it might take to have a new satellite being built and deployed, and so there is a lot of testing that will go in. So that will probably suit well in context with waterfall. Do you think, or do you still think you can apply agile and you can apply testing in that context?
Um, agile, agile in some way means doing small things at a time and delivering small things in like frequent intervals. It doesn't have to be released, but it just like you have to deliver that piece, make sure it's all well tested, deliver the next piece, connect the piece with that, make sure it's all well tested. Uh, you don't have to release every day, every week, but that what is important is deliver small pieces of it infrequently. Yeah, I think that can be followed, and I'm sure we're still struggling. Can we divide every feature in that small pieces? We are still struggling. Every company, I'm sure, they'll be struggling because some pieces are like so big you cannot fit it in a sprint or in a PI. We call it PI now. Every 3 months we have program increment. Uh, you cannot fit them. We're struggling, but somewhere some things fit well, very well. Uh, so that I think that's what agile is. It's not like some people take it as like, oh, you have to release every week, every day kind of thing. That's not what agile is.
Absolutely, and this is exactly the point that I was trying to drive home. Thank you
Okay.
for your insights into this one, because a lot of people misunderstand agile and the way that it is done. Even though, so I gave the context of a NASA project, even though it may look like a 4 year or a 5 year project, there are small pieces that need to come together to make that entire space shuttle that you're talking about, and to make sure that those small pieces come together well, you do it in an agile fashion, like you said. So thank you for re-emphasizing on that point. And I'm glad that it came from you, because you you've made you've made points so clearly in such a fantastic fashion. The kind of relation that you've drawn between the various things. I mean, it's always fun chatting with you in the test chat group when you come with those explanations. So that's why I thought that okay, maybe it's a good idea that the audience listens from you, because it's one thing if I say it, but if that point is re-emphasized by my guest, nothing like it. So thank you for for sharing your thought on that. And this is what I do. And sometimes people say, hey, you ask such questions. They are quite obvious. Why do you ask such obvious questions? Well, in my perspective, and I'm trying to clarify myself here. The reason why I ask is these obvious questions is because in doing what we are doing today, pursuing or chasing all these fancy titles, jargons, and trying to prove that I am the best tester, I'm the best programmer, I'm the best agile guru or whatever. In trying to do all this, we lose sight of the obvious things. Yeah, and we lose
Okay.
sight of the basics. So, and you do a very good job in reminding us of that. I mean, I keep going back to that
Uh,
metrics. I keep going back to that metrics discussion because I wrote something and then you wrote it and then I read the whole thing and then I said, okay, I can question all of that, but we can do it some other day. And then I put in something and then you wrote another big explanation and I'm like, wow, this
Did
is exactly what I
I?
wanted to hear. Okay, and then people started saying, yeah, you are right. If you remember the reaction, and then people started saying, oh, yeah, this has opened up, a new chain of thought, and that's how I like the conversations going. So I used the word poke earlier because I was not finding the right word. Trigger is something that I would like to use.
Rigor is the
I
right
I,
word.
I, I sort of like triggering those thoughts, and I was very happy that you got triggered and you put in your perspective. It came out so well. We all benefited, and we all keep benefiting from your insights.
The
So,
whole credit goes to you, Rajesh. It's the whole thing. I don't know how you got all those people, but each one is like a different. They have different expertise. It's very good. It's hard to find those kind of combinations. Each one is different. Extreme automation guys, extreme knowledge on like the domain of testing and all. Metrics guys, new guys. James Backer is like extremely knowledgeable teachers. That's very good. There are a lot of good things that I'm learning there. I'm enjoying. I'm not getting time on weekdays, so well, I try to catch up early in the morning and a weekend. But I still have so many things to reply there. I think, oh, this I want to reply, but I will do that. Thanks to
well,
you.
no, I am very glad. You spoke about me. It's not about me. Okay, it's very simple. It's what makes it a group is are the people. Okay, one person alone cannot make it a group. If it is to work like a group, a team, then it has to be people. So it is like you mentioned, the expertise that the people bring in, and all I try to do is to provide a medium so that we all can pitch in our thoughts. So I'm glad that I'm able to enable that for people, and I'm able to help you know people such as you, such as others. I mean, I may miss out a lot of names, so I'm not naming anybody at this point of time. To bring in their thoughts and to sort of inspire us from time to time to keep thinking about certain subjects, certain topics, and the idea has always been to keep uh, the thoughts at a level where we all can relate to it. We find it very easy. Okay. Earlier I used to struggle because I never had a place where I could voice my concern or express my opinion. So, after struggling for almost 20 years in my career, I said, no, we've got to find a place. Why not create a place? Okay. So the original intention was that. I'm glad that I'm still, after 6 months down the line, I'm still able to keep it going,
Yeah.
which is one of my proudest achievements of my life, not just 2020. That this was set up, and then people have shown faith, people have trusted me, has joined and have been joining and keeping it up. And thanks to people such as you who are making it bigger and bigger every day. Thank you for taking your time on a Saturday morning. I know it's weekend and you've still given me your time for this discussion. I'm extremely thankful to you for that, Srinivas. It was a fun chat. We spoke about some weird subjects,
I,
especially the food part. Some people will say, "Ew, looking at that." I know. I can
I,
I can think of those reactions too, but that's
I
that's fine.
enjoyed it. Absolutely enjoyed it. I don't know how 1.5 hours went by, but It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if I am
I mean,
given a chance, another
I was
2 hours.
looking at the clock, but then I said we have to factor in the technical glitch also. And Zoom decided to just it just said shut up, and it just froze. It's technology's way of I keep telling my friends that technology has its own way of saying shut up to you. You please. Okay, you are in a call and suddenly something goes wrong. And so once I was doing a presentation in front of my client. Okay, and imagine what happens. A blue screen appears.
Oh.
Okay, garbage that dump is happening. And I'm like, I just got a shut up call from my laptop. And
It
I'm in
always
front of the
happens.
customer trying to present something, and they're like, what is this? I said, I don't know.
Zoom decided for me.
It's the laptop's way of telling me to keep quiet. And so, yeah. Anyways, it was a fun discussion. Thank you so much for your time on the Saturday. We will keep
Thank
chatting, of course, and look forward to your increased participation in the group.
Definitely.
We will definitely do chapter 2 with you because there is so much to share, so much to talk about. We could cover only this much in this edition. So, I have been thinking about starting another chapter with all those speakers because everybody has brought in beautiful elements.
Amazing. Yes.
And to all my guests at Tester Speak, whether it is somebody with 3 years, 4 years of experience, or whether it is somebody with 20 plus years of experience, they've all brought new things on the table, and they have all brought ideas, they have all brought thought. And I'm like, no, we need more of this. So we definitely need a second round with everybody. So I'm trying to think of ways in which we can incorporate all this and make it a better place for all of us as testers, and so that all of us benefit from it. Yeah. So thank you.
Absolutely, Piyush. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's like wonderful, wonderful talking to you. After a long time, like 1.5 hours, I talked all the things. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
for
so much.
doing all the
Have a
things.
wonderful weekend. Uh, yeah,
You
and we'll
too,
keep
Brijesh.
keep talking.
Yep. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Brijesh. Yeah. Bye.